page 2.1. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with other social sciences. Approaches are roadmaps which deal with how politics is studied and how understanding about political phenomena, political institutions and political theory / thought is acquired. These may broadly be classified into traditional, within bracket, based on ideals, norms, history, law, philosophy, and modern, based within bracket, based on facts, data, science, empirism approaches. Major traditional approaches are philosophical, normative, historical, legal, formal, institutional, and to a degree comparative, while the modern approaches are experimental, empirical, scientific, rational choice, behavioral, post-behavioral, and dialectical materialist. Some of these approaches are 1A. Traditional approaches. Almost all traditional approaches are related to one another. The philosophical approaches does have a measure of idealism, theory and comparison, while the historical approaches too has in it some degree of normatism, idealism and comparison. What separates each of them is their relative emphasis associated with a particular approach. The major traditional approaches are A. Comparative. The comparative approach, while drawing generalizations from comparisons, helps in relating events, establishing causes and effects, and in arriving at general principles. It emphasizes on gathering a multiplicity of phenomena with regard to political system, institutions, legislatures, arranging them to order and relating elements common to them. John Stuart Mill refers to three forms of comparison. A. Though through the process of difference, both USA and India, for example, are democratic politics, and yet the point of difference is that the USA has a capitalist economy and India a mixed economy. B. Though the process of indirect difference, Britain and People's Republic of China are two opposed models. Britain with a bipartisan system and PRC with a single party system. And the point of difference is that while Britain is more democratic, PRC is more authoritarian. C. Through the courts of agreement, the USA and the USSR, within bracket former, were wholly opposed to each other. And yet there was a point of agreement between the two. Both were federal systems, and yet this approach has its limitations. Usually the comparison results in superfluity and is so to that extent faulty. The advocates of the comparative approach includes Aristotle, within bracket politics, Montesquieu, the spirit of the laws, de Tocqueville, within bracket democracy in America, and Bryce, within bracket modern democracies. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with other social sciences. 1A. Traditional approaches. A. Comparative. Under comparative approach, resemblances and differences should be taken into account. Vague generalizations need to be avoided. Analogies and identities are to be distinguished. Conclusions to be drawn through comparative. Conclusions to be drawn through comparisons. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with other social sciences. 1A. Traditional approaches. B. Historical, page 2.2. The historical approach seeks to lay emphasis on the use of historical evidence for a proper study of political phenomena. Every political phenomena, for example, is the construction of a time, some place and circumstances. One can understand an institution in the light of its origin and growth. political theory, we must take note of, has thrived in times of immense historical situations. The ancient Greek times, within bracket of Plato and Aristotle, gave the two great streams of Western political thought, political idealism and political realism. The English Civil War of the 17th century produced Hobbes and Locke. We can understand a philosopher through the times he lived. It is no use evaluating a philosopher of ancient times from the present day standards. Every political philosopher uses history in explaining his political philosophy to demonstrate the practicality of the perception. George Savile, within bracket a history of political theory, is a prominent advocate of this approach. So were scholars such as Seeley and Freeman, Machiavelli and Montesquieu and Maine had used the historical method in their studies. Oakeshott, within bracket political education, has said a genuine historical study is indispensable for political education. All history, as we know, is not politics, as all politics is never all history. Do we step twice in the same river? Probably not. Charles Merriam and David Easton reject the historical fervor and call it historicism. Historical approach, a form of experimental approach, corrective in its objectives, inductive in so far as it is based on facts and observation, a teacher in that it explains past, a guide in that it helps build future, factual, casual, evolutional. Historicism is a concept which suggests that history is determined by laws and shape all features of each period, proper and popularized the term. Chapter 2, 1a, Traditional Approaches. C, Philosophical. The philosophical approach relates all knowledge and reality to underlying principles. It seeks to replace opinion about the nature of political things to the knowledge of the nature of political things. It begins with abstract concepts and that attempts to harmonize them with actual facts of a historical, usually idealistic and normative nature. The philosophical approach tends to become speculative, deductive, as it lands up it being ideological, subjective and partisan. Its limitations are that it is imaginative, impracticable, utopian. The philosophical tradition can be traced to the writings of Plato and to a degree to his people. Aristotle, St. Augustine, Rousseau, Sidgwick and Leo Strauss too have followed the philosophical approach. Leo Strauss, within bracket, what is political philosophy, says, within inverted comma, philosophy being the quest for wisdom or quest for universal knowledge, for knowledge to the whole, is the attempt truly to know both the nature of political things and the right or the good political order. Philosophical approach, essentially ethical, perceptive and normative, reflects concern with what should or ought to be rather what with, I repeat, reflects concern with what should or ought to be rather with what it is. Emphasis on the whole and not on the part. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 1a, Traditional Approaches. D, Normative, page 2.3. The normative approach describes how things should be, its ideal type. It is to be distinguished from descriptive theory. The descriptive approach is saying what is the case, the normative is saying what ought to be the case. The normative approach can further be distinguished in a minimalist and maximalist stances. In the minimalist approach, minimum standards are formulated below which no phenomenon ought to fall. In the maximalist normative approach, ideal standards are formulated which no phenomenon would ever achieve. Thus considered, the normative approach in political theory is theorizing about values in politics. With it, the emphasis is on the prescription of values and standards of conduct. Within inverted comma, what should be becomes more important than within inverted comma, what is. There is a direction, a purpose, a vision, and a frame of reference which guides all normative inquiries. None of the normative theorists, within bracket Plato, Aristotle, to some extent, Roche and like, have ever lost sight of projecting the idea of the best form of government. Idealism thus may rightly be said to be a part of normative commitments. Most of the earlier Western political thought was prescriptive. Even now too, normative theorizing deals of must. Even now too, normative theorizing deals or must deal in facts just as empirical work deals or must deal in values. Like the philosophical approach, the normative approach is subjective, speculative, and partisan. The political philosophers following the normative approach have either justified a system that was existing or have proposed an entirely different system. Accordingly, they are either conservatives, within bracket Brooke and Oakeshott, or idealists, Plato, within bracket Plato, Rousseau and Hegel. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 1b, Modern Approaches, page 2.4. Almost all modern approaches are closely related to one another. The empirical approach, for example, does have a measure of behavioral approach. The post-behavioral approach is not the negation of the behavioral approach, but is its corrective. The major modern approaches are A. Empirical. The advocates of empiricism includes Francis Bacon, within bracket 1561 to 1626, John Locke, within bracket 1632 to 1704, George Berkeley, within bracket 1685 to 1753, and David Hume, within bracket 1711 to 1776. They relate all knowledge to be derived from experience. 1. Experience, the only basis of knowledge. 2. All hypotheses and theories to be tested by the process of observation. 3. Facts to be examined objectively, collected, arranged, classified, categorized, explained. 4. Scientific and inductive method. 5. Research to be related to theory, and theory to the facts. The approach suffers from numerous limitations: irrelevance, objectivity, not possible, overemphasis on facts and scientific methodology. Its rejection of values robs it of all basis of evaluation. Empirical approach, associated closely with pragmatism. Facts to be verified by experience, observation and experiment. Distrust for values. Predictive laws possible. B. Behavioral. The behavioral approach to political science is one in which explanations are 1. Based on people's observable and expressed behavior. 2. Behavior, facts and data can be scientifically and empirically tested. 3. Politics can be a science and hence value-free. 4. Individual and group behavior can be influenced by other disciplines. Its advocates include Robert Dahl, Carl Dweck, David Easton, Harold Laswell, Almond and Powell. Kaplan, Shields, Almond and Powell, Kaplan, Shields. Behavioralism, a reaction against traditionalism. Better to be wrong than vague. In its has inherent defects. Behavior cannot be measured. Too mass scientism, objectivity not possible, and in nature apathy towards values. Post-behavioralism is corrective in nature and an extension of behavioralism. Its credo is action and relevance, and better to be vague than irrelevant. Its features are substance with techniques, purpose with process, social change with status quo, and values with facts. Behavioral approach. Discoverable regularities can lead to theories with predictive values. Theories are testable in principle, findings based on quantifiable data. Research to be systematic and theory oriented, theory directed. Indisciplinary is insofar, I repeat, indisciplinary insofar as it draws on the other social sciences. C. Other approaches. 1. Marxist, that is dialectical materialist approach. A. Emphasis on the economic basis of human society. B. Class as the fundamental division in society and a belief in the possibility of human betterment. C. Politics as a superstructure on the material base. D. A two-way relations between human beings and the material world, overemphasis of material factor, underestimation of the potentialities of the other facts. 2. New institutional. A. People's choices are shaped by institutions within which people find themselves. B. Political behavior embodied in institutional structures of rules, norms and expectations. C. Key idea is that the state is not only affected by society but also affects it. Olson and Marx are its advocates. 3. Rational choice. A. Drawn mainly on the methodology of economics. B. Individuals are the key political actors. C. Collective behavior stems from the individual behavior, which alone is important. D. Individuals are the utility maximizers. Its drawback is that it takes an over-optimistic view of the individual. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 1b, Modern Approach. C, Other Approaches, page 2.5. 4, Postmodernism and Critical Theory. These are broad rubrics for intellectual movements rather than specific theories, but they are essential parts of social semiotic analysis. Postmodernism derives from post-structuralism and destruction maximizers, which are initially criticisms of the structuralist movement of the 1960s. Critical theory derives from neo-Marxism and feminist theory, extended to include post-colonial theory and queer theory. 5. General social theory. A general social theory usually identifies the categories of persons constructed by the practices of a community and specifies the relations among these categories in terms of power, prestige and specialized functions within the community. It then tries to explain how these categories and relationships function, how they come to be established historically, what keeps them going and how they are always changing. An ideal theory relates the global scale phenomena of the community to the local events scale phenomena, within bracket, that is gender and class, to conversation and action. All existing macro social categories are subject to the radical critique and should not be taken as absolute, merely as indications of the existence of macro-social phenomena. The principal useful social theories and their basic principles and formulators are: A. Neo-Marxism class-based analysis. K. Marx, L. Althusser, and A. Gramsci. B. M. Foucault, discursive formations, archaeology, power relations in historical concept. P. Bourdieu, habitus, structuration, capitals, fields, comprehensive except for historically. D. Letter, Acton, B. Letter, Acton, newswork, heterogeneity of types and scales. No, wrong. Repeat. D. B. Letter, Acton networks, heterogeneity of types and scales, very sophisticated. E. N. Lohmann, systems theory, discourse, more cybernetic than self-organizational. And F. C. Garch, thick descriptions, hermeneutic, ethnography, phenomenological approach. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with other social sciences. 2. Debates and Trends. 2a, within inverted comma, decline of political theory, inverted comma close, debate, within bracket, traditionalism and behavioralism. Many scholars talk of the decline of political theory. Many others claim about its revival. If there is a brogan to doubt, within inverted comma, whether any such academic discipline as political science exists, bracket close, inverted comma close, there is a Gramino which insists that, within inverted comma, this thesis is seriously in error, inverted comma close. If there is a Varney to share the view that, within inverted comma, politics has reached its dead end, inverted comma close, so there is a Berlin who believes that, inverted comma, political theory will not wholly perish from the earth, inverted comma close. If there is a Dull who declares that in the English-speaking world, within inverted comma, political philosophy is dead, inverted comma close, so is there a Plamantage to emphasize that political theory, within inverted comma, is as much needed as any of the sciences, inverted comma close. If there is an Eastern who condemns political theory declining into, within inverted comma, historicism, inverted comma close, there is yet another Eastern to favor and evaluate or value theory in political science. Lastlet and Runciman in 1956 deplored the death of political philosophy. In 1962, the same men claimed a modest revival in the political philosophy. In 1963, a Friedrich wrote a book entitled, within inverted comma, An Empirical Theory of Politics, and stated the importance of political philosophy to be observable phenomena. So is there the same author who in 1967 writes another book entitled, within inverted comma, An Introduction to Political Theory, inverted comma close, and examines, inverted comma, perennial issues, inverted comma close, through the writings of the political philosophers. The traditional political theory lays stress on the state as a moral society. The classical political theory concerned itself with the, within inverted comma, the moral evolution of political theory, inverted comma close. As Ellen Gerrit informs us, the normative political theory seeks, as Derek Gravity believes, within inverted comma, to answer the question, what is the end or the good at which the state should aim, inverted comma close. It was against this mood that a revolution to change the perspective of political theory was in the offing. Men like Burgess, Lowell and Merriam in the first quarter and Herbert Simon, V.O. Key, Robert Dull, David Eston, and Harold Laswell in the latter period of 20th century rose against the classical political theory. These writers deplored the historical, normative, or the evaluative approach to the study of political theory, which has hitherto adopted and emphasized instead of the behavioral object, scientific or the empirical approach. They seek to lay stress on present rather than on past, living rather than on dull, systematic rather than on interpretive, immediate rather than on remote, objective rather than on subjective, general rather than on particular, analytic rather than on philosophic, explanatory rather than on descriptive, evaluate rather than on normal, process oriented rather than on ideal oriented, scientific rather than on theoretical. They think the ancient role of political theory is irrelevant. In place of it, they seek to build a science of politics as much objective, clinical, value-free, observational, measurable and operational as that is not measurable, that is measurable and operational as any natural or exact science can ever be. What was dead was political theory. What was born out of it was the political science. The arguments, as stated by the empiricists, positivists, and behavioralists in the 1950s and 1960s include 1. Historicism, 2. Moral relativism, 3. Hyperfactualism, 4. Technological revolution, 5. Inadequacies of traditional theories. These arguments support a general tendency, as Coben says, to cease thinking about society in terms of political theory, has been the prevailing mood all around, particularly among some of the Americans. This has forced men like C.B. Macpherson to raise a voice for a rethinking with regard to the normative theory of political science. While a rethinking over the normative theory was much required, and it actually should have helped much in understanding as to how politics is changing, the apologists, within bracket those who insist on its revival, chose better to contest the positives and the empiricists on their own grounds. They condemn their critics on the following grounds, to mention a few among many: A. Undue importance on facts, B. False conceptions of scientific approach, wherein man is reduced to a chemical or a matter, C. False conception of the relationship of the observer and his observations, where the observer's detachment is claimed to be highly objective, D. Isolation of facts from the realities of life, E. Separation of means from the ends, F. Overemphasis of methodological processes which put a mark on man's imagination. McCoy and Playford would accuse the behavioralists of having, within inverted comma, concocted their own ivory tower out of a jargon and scienticism, bracket close. No school of positivism can lead, Germino is convinced, to anything but, within inverted comma, a retrogression in the history of political and social thought, inverted comma close. All these makes him to conclude that at the moment, within inverted comma, a truly creative flowering, inverted comma close, and within inverted comma, a renaissance of political theory in the grand manner, inverted comma close, are in the offing, and that like the proverbial phoenix, within inverted comma, political theory is today rising from the ashes of its own destruction, inverted comma close. Page 2.6, Chapter 2, Political science approaches debates and trends, relationship with other social sciences. 2. Debates and trends. 2b, within inverted comma, the end of ideology. Back inverted comma, close, debate. Ideology is usually described as the science of ideas. The French scholar Descartes de Tracy, within bracket 1754 to 1836, was the first to use the term in his work Elements of Ideology. Within bracket his another book was Treatise on Political Economy. Termed ideology as ideas personified. Drucker, within bracket the political uses of ideology, 1974, calls ideology, within bracket the correction of ideas about society. Karl Marx, within bracket 1818 to 1883, the German ideology, defines ideology as a process achieved consciously but with a false consciousness. Karl Manian, within bracket 1893 to 1947, Ideology and Utopia, bracket close, says that all social science is determined by social structure. The ideology of an individual and a group is shaped by the status of the individual of the groups. George Larian, within bracket the concept of ideology, draws attention to the meaning, including exposition of the worldview, within bracket positive sense, a false consciousness, within bracket negative sense, its subjectivity and its relationship with a science and its antithesis. Numerous definitions of ideology, within bracket Felix Gross, European Ideologies, 1948, Lehman Sargent, Contemporary Political Ideologies, 1969, Martin Seliger, Ideology and Politics, 1976, Bloom, Ideologies and Attitudes, 1974, bring to the force, bring to the fore its following characteristics. A. Ideology is a value or a belief system. B. It pertains to the worldview of a social group, holding the view as a matter of fact. C. It explains and analyzes the world as it is, the foundations on which the given society stands. D. It exists to perform an inspirational function. E. It attempts to explain the cause-effect relationship of a given society. F. It provides an action program to justify the status quo, within bracket conservatism, or bracket closed, or seek reforms, within bracket liberalism, bracket closed, or reconstruct the society anew, within bracket radical. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 2. Debates and Trends. 2b, The End of Ideology, Debate, page 2.7. After the Second World War, some social science scientists in the USA, within bracket Daniel Bell, The End of Ideology, S.M. Lipset, Political Men, J.K. Galbraith, The Coming of the Post-Industrial Society, began advocating the end of ideology, theory of de-ideologization, or the twilight of the era of ideology. Some other concepts strengthening the end of ideology theme were post-capitalist era, the rule of the technocrats, convergence between capitalism and socialism, people's capitalism, socialism with a human face. All these are declaring the eliminations of ideological conflict as an accomplished fact. The Cold War character of the end of ideology theory was evident from the fact that the Congress and for Cultural Freedom, an American-sponsored propagandist agency, took a leading part in organizing a seminar of writers, politicians, journalists and academicians in 1956 at Milan to pronounce the death of ideology in advanced capitalist societies. While some of the delegates were conservatives and reactionaries at one end, there were also tribals, radicals, and social democrats of all varieties and hues at the other. It may appear that a conference of this nature and would have produced intense political debates and ideological hostility. In fact, nothing of this nature occurred. The delegates assembled there and displayed full doctrinal unity. Raymond Arnon said the rightist and the leftist in West European politics were converging towards each other, disclosing new similarities in their attitudes and beliefs. Edward Shields pronounced liberation of mankind from, within inverted comma, obsessional visions and fantasies. Obsessional vision and fantasies, and the harassment of ideologists and zealots. S.M. Lipset developed the end of ideology theme in Political Man, the social basis of politics. Raymond Aron wrote an article entitled Industrial Society, Ideologies and Philosophy, and a book, The Opium of Intellectuals, to prove that ideological thinking was confined to an intelligentsia with titled Relevance for Actual Party Politics or Electoral Behavior in Liberal Countries. Daniel Bell wrote, within bracket, The End of Ideology, on the exertion of political ideas, to prove that a democratic liberal consensus has been reached in the Western democratic countries, which has made all ideological conflicts anarchistic, anachronistic. The conservatives no longer opposed that regulation to promote welfare, and the socialists no longer advocated indiscriminate nationalization. Lipset therefore concluded, within inverted comma, the change in Western political life reflects the fact that the fundamental political problems of the Industrial Revolution have been solved. The workers have achieved industrial and political citizenship. The conservatives have accepted the welfare state, and the democratic left has recognized that an increase in overall state power carries with it more dangers to freedom and then solutions to economic problems. This very triumph of the democratic is more dangerous to freedom than solutions to economic problems. This very triumph of the democratic social revolution in the West ends domestic politics for those intellectuals who must have ideologies or utopias to motivate them to political action. Inverted comma close. He, however, maintains that bridging of ideological cleavages leaves ample scope for party controversy in democracies. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Science. 2b, The End of Ideology, Debate. Page 2.8. Galbraith, The New Industrial State, argues that 1. The industrialized societies in both the USA and in the one-time Soviet Russia was pursuing essentially similar development paths. 2. That in such societies professional classes and the technocrats hold good. 3. That these societies witness centralization and bureaucratization tendencies. Barrington Moore thinks that in the United States, with the exception of the Negro, it is difficult to identify any group that has any ideological motivation for confrontation with the governing elite. David Reisman thinks that the general increase of affluence will put an end to the Madisonian basis of political conflict in developed capital countries. Lipset feels that these scholars confuse the decline of utility. I repeat, Lipset feels that these scholars confuse the decline of ideology with the ending of the economic class system, which, according to him, has sustained democratic controversy. The evidence on the voting behavior in the United States and Western Europe countries proves that many voters continue to vote for different parties in accordance with their class images and perceptions of the role of these parties. The end of ideology theorists, critics have argued, fully express the need of the ruling class in a liberal capitalist society to find ways of denying historical inevitability and the objective necessity of reconstructing its social system on new socialist foundations. While rejecting the end of ideology thesis, Richard Titmuss, essays on the welfare state, argues that 1. The capitalist economies have attained monopolistic concentration of economic power. 2. The post-industrial societies suffer from processes which have led to social disintegration. And 3. That such developed societies have been facing tendencies of cultural deprivation. C.V. Macpherson, democratic theory, speaks of these post-industrial societies no better than the market societies. The end of ideology theory has been criticized by C. Wright Mills in his The Marxists. Mills characterized the end of ideology theory as the self-image of self-selected circles of intellectuals in the capitalist countries, which constituted a fraction of mankind. To speak in such terms, he said of much of Asia, Africa, Latin America, or the Soviet bloc countries was quite ridiculous. Mills observed, within inverted comma, end of ideology is a slogan of complacency, circulating among the prematurely middle-aged. In the final analysis, it also rests upon a disbelief in the shaping by men of their own futures as history and as biography. Inverted comma close. According to David Icahn, the vision of the end of ideology as an end to rhetoric and rhetoricians, especially of revolution, is a utopian fantasy. It is an evil fantasy because it would mean a virtual end to discourse, to communication and to argument. Pragmatism has come to rob the rigidity of ideology. David Cameron, the British Conservative Party leader, declares himself with a touch of pride that he was a practical and pragmatic politician and not deeply ideological. He regards Tony Blair, the former British Prime Minister, as the most pragmatic of modern Western leaders. The rightists are not so rightists, while the leftists are not so leftists. Spain has already abandoned the right. In Italy, within inverted comma, right is struggling. In Latin America, there is almost a left-wing swing. The one-time communist China is allowing entrepreneurs to join the Communist Party, while the Indian left is working with the Congress Party, which has moved towards liberalization. The vast majority of people have never been overtly ideological. They want their problems solved. In the words of Chinese leader, they, within inverted comma, are not interested in the color of the cat so long as it catches the mice. Inverted comma close. Page 2.9. Chapter 2. Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends. Relationship with other social sciences. 2C. The end of history. Debate. Francis Fukuyama, a second-generation American in his work The End of History and the Last Man, within bracket 1992, expanding on its 1989 essay, within inverted comma, The End of History, inverted comma close, within bracket. His other works include Our Post-Human Future, Consequences of the Biotechnology Revolution, 2002, State Building, Governance and the World Order in the 21st Century, 2004, America at the Crossroads, Democracy, Power and the New Conservative Legacy, 2006, argues that the end of the Cold War signals the end of the progression of human history. He says, within inverted comma, what we are be witnessing in, I repeat, what we are wrong, repeat, within inverted comma, what we may witnessing is not just the end of the Cold War, but the passing of a particular period of post-war history, but the end of history as such, that is the end point of mankind's ideological evolution and universalization of Western liberal democracy as the final form of human government. Inverted comma close, within bracket, quoted from The End of History, 1989. Fukuyama has established himself as a leading conservative intellectual. On the surface, The End of History is a celebration of the New World Order, but it is almost much more. The book contains a theory drawing on Plato's view of the soul and Hegel's dialectic of spirit that legitimates this new order of spreading, within inverted comma, liberal democracy, inverted comma close, by establishing philosophical origins. Fukuyama does not hesitate to identify liberal democracy with capitalist democracy. He argues that the debacle of Soviet-style communism has left capitalism democracy unchallenged as the only system with global appeal, and he contends that this appeal is not transient but has deep roots. Liberal democracy, within bracket, for this read capitalism, bracket close, he says, is now the goal of virtually every single country of any importance. Communism has proven to be an empty promise. There can be no longer be any other conflicts of major interests, no more shifts in academic thought or new spheres of philosophical argument. Every system of government that could be thought or has been thought of, and the human race has basically reached its optimum level, hence the end of history. Fukuyama's principal argument is that communism has not worked. Marx's theories, he says, are clearly outdated in a global economy. Fukuyama's thesis consists of three main elements. First, there is an empirical argument. Fukuyama points out that since the beginning of the 19th century, democracy, which started off as being merely one among many systems of government, has grown until today, when the majority of governments in the world are termed democratic. Second, there is a philosophical argument taken from Hegel. Very briefly, Fukuyama sees history as consisting of the dialectic between two classes, the master and the slave. Ultimately, these theses, within bracket master, and antithesis, within bracket slave, must meet in a synthesis in which both manage to live in peace together. This can only happen in a democracy. Finally, Fukuyama argues that for a variety of reasons, socialism, within bracket, or communalism is likely to be incompatible with modern representative democracy. Therefore, in the future, democracies are overwhelmingly likely to contain markets of some sort, and most are likely to be capitalist or social democratic. Fukuyama's thesis has the following arguments in his favor. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 2C, The End of History, Debate, page 2.10. 1. Empirical evidence has been used to support the theory. Freedom House argues that there was not a single liberal democracy with universal suffrage in the world in 1900, but that today 120, within inverted commas, 62% of the world's 192 nations are such democracies. They counted 25, within bracket 19% nations with restricted democratic practices in 1900 and 60.8% today. They counted 19 within 14% constitutional monarchies in 1900, where a constitution limited the power of the monarch and with some power devolved to elected legislature, and none today. Other nations had and have various forms of non-democratic rule. 2. The democratic peace theory argues that there is a statistical evidence that democracy decreases systematic violence such as external and internal wars and conflicts. This seems compatible with Fukuyama's theory, but hardly with the increasing class conflicts that Marx predicted. 3. The end of the Cold War and the subsequent increase in the number of liberal democratic states were accompanied by a sudden and dramatic decline in total warfare, interstate wars, ethnic wars, revolutionary wars, and the number of refugees and displaced persons. Fukuyama's within inverted comma end of history thesis is criticized on numerous grounds. Number A. Islamic fundamentalism does not indicate the end of history. B. The Marxists do not subscribe to Fukuyama's reliance on Hegel, for they argue that Hegel's philosophy was fatally flawed until Marx had turned it on its feet. C. Some radical libertarians, within bracket represented by Hans Hermann Hoppe, argue that democracy failed the classical liberal tradition by subordinating individual rights, within bracket especially private property, to the public interest, and the democracy is actually a decline of civilization compared to monarchy, within bracket democracy, the god that failed. D. Numerous other intellectuals and thinkers have disagreed with the end of history thesis. For example, Samuel P. Huntington, in his essay and book, The Clash of Civilizations, argues that the temporary conflict between ideologies is being replaced by the ancient conflicts between civilizations. The dominant civilization decides the form of human government, and these will not be constant. In the end, we may say that Fukuyama is an endist. Endism to Fukuyama means end of all bad things. So his argument leads to progress is on now. People are becoming better and better and will end. Huntington rightly says that one can build one's life on the premise that the bad things are coming to an end. It is in fact walking on the road of disaster, for progressivism would naturally lead to taking things easy, to relaxed complacency, and in the process inviting nonchalance and apathy. Now, repeat, inviting nonchalance and apathy. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 2D, Hermeneutics. It is described as the development and study of the theories of interpretation and understanding of the text. Habermas, in his article within inverted comma, hermeneutic claim to universality, inverted comma close, says the hermeneutic within inverted comma refers to an ability we acquire to the extent to which we learn to master a natural language, the art of understanding linguistically communicable meaning and to render it comprehensible in cases of distorted communication, inverted comma close. It is the art, skill or theory of interpretation, of understanding the significance of human actions, utterances and institutions. Hermeneutics rejects the thesis that science alone provides system interpretation and asserts that philosophy too helps us understand events. I repeat, and asserts that philosophy too helps us understand events, text and utterances. We can interpret by asking relevant questions, for our answer lies in the question asked. It is an aid to comprehend text through context. Wilhelm Dilthey, within bracket 1833 to 1911, in his Hermeneutics and the Study of History, says that every expression must be understood in its social, historical and cultural context if its full meaning is to be revealed. Martin Heger, within bracket 1889 to 1976, in his work Being and Time, applies the term broadly to emphasize the general metaphysical meaning of the investigation into the nature of human existence. The advocates of the hermeneutics, I repeat, the advocates of hermeneutics approach claim that the texts are the conventionalized expressions of the experience of the author, and therefore the interpretation of such texts reveals something about the social context in which they were written, but more significantly provide the reader with a means to share the experiences of the author. Hermeneutics refers to the idea that one's understanding of the text as a whole is established by reference to the individual facts and one's understanding of each individual part by reference to the whole. Neither the whole text nor any individual parts can be understood without reference to one another. Furthermore, interpretation makes it possible to interpret the text by emphasizing that the meaning of text must be found within the cultural, social, historical and literary context. 2.11 page. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 2e, Behavioralism, Post-Behavioralism, Neo-Behavioralism. Behavioralism has been, I repeat, 2e, Behavioralism, Post-Behavioralism, Neo-Behavioralism. Behavioralism, as has been rightly described as a protest against traditionalism, historicism and formalism, as Dahl sees it. It emerged out of old institutionalism, which was preoccupied with formal structures of government. It was a movement which took into account the findings as developed in social sciences, a movement which provided for scientific methodology, and a movement that created an empirical political science. Behavioralism gave to political science a new focus, within bracket individual group, a new emphasis, within bracket behavior, and a new methodology, within bracket scientific empirical. Behavioralism is essentially and primarily a methodological approach to knowledge that studies with empirically happens in the course of human behavior. Its creed, in the words of Albert Summit and Joseph Tanehas, within bracket the development of American political science 1967, contains I repeat, 1. Political science can ultimately become a science capable of prediction and explanation. 2. It should concern itself primarily, if not exclusively, with phenomena which can be actually observed. 3. Data should be quantified and findings be based on quantifiable data. 4. Research should be theory-oriented and theory-directed, evolved through the development of hypotheses. 5. Political science should adjure in favor of, within inverted comma, pure research. 6. The truth or falsity of values can be established scientifically and is beyond the scope of legitimate inquiry. 7. Political science should be more interdisciplinary. And 8. It should become more self-conscious about its methodology. The behavioral revolution in political science has had its contribution by making the discipline of political science rather scientific, objective, observational, operational, measurable, and value-free. The discipline became aggressively secular in orientation, following its insistence on separation between facts and values, declaring in the process the historical descriptive paradigm and as obsolete. And yet the limitations of behavioralism cannot be overlooked. These limitations revolve around in use of, I repeat, these limitations revolve around its use of unilaterally and shabby language leading to empty jargons, to math, scienticism, emphasis on techniques, apathy towards values, trace on objectivity, and in the process robbing the discipline from the study of post and future and reducing it to the studies of elections. In its efforts to reject the vagueness of traditionalism, behavioralism embraced irrelevance with no answers to the vital problems facing the world, within bracket Vietnam, questions of peace and war, etc. In these efforts to study the West, behavioralism failed to perceive social, political and cultural changes occurring in other parts of the world, especially in the communist and the third world countries. Post-behavioralism is not a negation of behavioralism nor its opposite, but is its extension, rather its corrective. It arose with credos of, within inverted comma, relevance, within inverted comma, action from the same set of advocates, within bracket dull Eastern, bracket close, and from the same soil, within inverted comma, the USA, though the timing was different. It was in 1969 when David S. Stern, delivering his presidential speech at this 65th session of the American Political Science Association, sought to introduce post-behavioralism. Post-behavioralism does not reject behavioralism, but builds itself on it. It begins where behavioralism ends, relieving the latter from its inconsistencies and inadequacies. Its tenets can be stated as these. Substance should be, repeat, post-behavioralism does not reject behavioralism, but builds itself on it. It begins where behavioralism ends, relieving the latter from its inconsistencies and inadequacies. Its tenets can be stated as these. Substance should precede techniques. Purpose should not be separated from procedure. Social change should guide status quo. Facts and values are inseparable. Value premises need to be related to knowledge. Quantum of science to be used in political science to the extent that it helps comprehend the political phenomena. Intellectuals have to shoulder the responsibility of shaping and reshaping society, of putting knowledge to work. Neo-behavioralism is the revision of behavioralism insofar as it helps review the methodology and the content, favoring a revival of interpretive understanding and historical analysis of political theory, with the emergence of new concerns such as feminism, environmentalism, nuclear war, ethnicity, racial identity and equality. There has been a general loss of central focus regarding the subject matter and consensus about methodologies. Stern announces the beginning of new behavioralism in the 1990s in order to bring about a new unity in the theoretical focus of the discipline. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 2F, Normative and Empirical, page 2.12. The two approaches, normative and empirical, belong to different times, differing in their nature and in their methodologies, while addressing the political phenomena. The normativist is more interested in a good life, ideally framed. The empiricist in actual life based on facts. The former is usually subjective and the latter objective. The former is perspective while the other is analytical. The former relates facts to values and the latter values with facts. The former in its approach is its philosophical and historical while the latter is scientific. Behavioralist and ahistorical, the former is value-laden while the latter is fact-laden. The former doesn't separate facts from the values while the latter doesn't allow their union. The division between normativism and empiricism revolves around methodology. All normative theory is philosophical and idealistic. All empirical theorizing is scientific and analytical. Normative research is never scientific, while empiricism is all about research with self-stated and self-conscious roadmap. The normative approach has its limitations, so has the empirical approach. The normative intention is subjective and speculative, and therefore fails to bring about standardized methodology, and in the process casts serious doubts about the validity of generalizations so developed. The empirical approach, in its attempt to have objectivity and neutrality, builds ridiculous jargons. In its attempt to reject values, rejects all grounds of evaluation. This precisely is the complaint of trans-empiricists against empiricists. To conclude, one may say that the two approaches miss what each lacks. Complete objectivity is unattainable, while value-free research is only imagination. For comprehending any political phenomenon, the two approaches are essential. While the normative approach sets goals, the empirical theory sets tools. One provides the purpose, another its procedure. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 2G, Libertarianism and Communitarism, 2.13 page. Libertarianism, an ideological stance of America of the 1960s and the 1970s, seeks to build autonomous individuals with inalienable rights and unrestricted liberty. Its advocates include Hayek, within bracket the road to serfdom, the Constitution of Liberty bracket closed, Friedman, within bracket capitalism and freedom, Rawls, within bracket a theory of justice, Nozick, within bracket anarchy, state and utopia, Dworkin, within bracket taking rights seriously. All the libertarians, individuals' rights are inborn and they cannot be taken away by anyone, not even by the state. Individual liberty cannot be restricted, can be only for the protection of liberty. Libertarian politics lays stress on the minimal state and its economics, on free and open market system. Communitarianism, as expressed in the writings of McIntyre, within bracket after virtue, Taylor, sources of the self, Sandel, within bracket liberalism and the limits of justice, and Walger, within bracket spheres of justice, is a theoretical position that individual is not an isolated self, but is self-constituted through and shaped by the community. as such it expects respect, consideration and obligations from its members. 2H. Traditionalism, modernism and postmodernism. Traditionalism in politics means love for philosophy, norms and ideals as revealed through history, more akin to truths and principles of an ethical nature. It is not all past. Though it is associated with history, it is not all philosophy. Though it lays emphasis on knowledge as accrued from the basic values. Modernism, on the other hand, is separated and isolated from the immutable principles, rejects faith in favor of reason, philosophy in favor of science, assumptions in favor of autonomy. Postmodernism as it comes to be understood from Hegel, within bracket the postmodern explained, Lyotard, within bracket the postmodern condition, Foucault, within bracket the order of things, Lash, within bracket sociology of postmodernism, and is the name for the general quality of our time. As a recalcitrant child of modernism, it holds that all worldviews are constructed by historical processes, nothing designed, nothing reasoned out. For the postmodernist, there is no objective truth. Reality is what is configured or constructed. All knowledge is partial and partisan. There are no facts about social and political world. They are only interpretations. Such world is not characterized by sameness, but by difference. All comprehensible worldviews are oppressive. Therefore, all such worldviews are to be deconstructed. Therefore, deconstructionism is progressive pulverization of reality. Much as postmodernism condemns modernism, it has remained only a temporary phenomenon. 2I. Feminism. It is a revolt against patriarchy, against male domination, against the very idea that women are a medium of joy for men. It is an ideology which seeks the end of female exploitation, discrimination against women. It is a movement that seeks a new definition of everything till now defined by men. Its advocates include Shulamit Firestone, within bracket the dialect of sex, Charmaine Greer, within bracket the female enanche, Kate Millett, within bracket sexual politics, Pittman, within bracket the sexual contract, Robin Morgan, within bracket sisterhood is powerful, Elstein, within bracket public man, private woman, and Simone de Beauvoir, within bracket the second sex. Mary Wollstonecraft, one of the major feminists, wrote A Vindication of the Rights of Women. The International Women's Year was observed in 1975. Liberal feminism advocates women's equality with men. Socialist/Marxist regard women as a suppressed lot. Within bracket, Engels, one remarked that man is a bourgeoisie and woman a proletariat, whereas the radical feminists seek redefinition of all ethos and reversal of roles for men and women. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 2J, Ecologism, Environmentalism, Sustainable Development, page 2.14. Ecologism can be described as a doctrine that seeks to establish the essential link between human beings and the natural world. It emphasizes that the human beings are a part of nature. They are not its masters. Two streams of ecologism are usually referred to: deep ecology, one that rejects the belief that the human beings are superior to or more important than the other species; shallow ecology, one that harnesses it to human needs and ends. The logic is that if we serve the natural world, it will in turn sustain human life. Environmentalism refers to the concern about the damage done to the natural world by the increasing pace of economic development. To that extent, environmentalism is concerned with protecting nature ultimately for human benefit. Sustainable development is essentially concerned with environmentalism insofar as it seeks development within the framework of environment. It is not above or against or at the cost of environment, but is in tune with it. It is a union of present with the future, present in the sense that developmental course has to respond to the needs of today, future in the sense that it gives room for accommodation. It, as David Reed, within bracket, sustainable development, an introductory guide, bracket close, says, within inverted comma, strikes two chords, strikes two chords. First touch, within bracket yes, or our sense of guilt about what we have done to the planet, and second, on a very deeply rooted human desire to make sure, within bracket, that our children's futures are provided for, inverted comma close. Page 2.14. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trades, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 3. Relationship of political science with other social sciences. All social sciences are closely related to one another insofar as each influences the other and is influenced by the other. 3a. Political science and history. The relationship between political science and history is so close that some scholars, within bracket Freeman, go to the extent of saying that history is past politics and politics is current history, or what Seeley and had once said that, within inverted comma, history without political science has no fruits and political science without history has no roots, inverted comma close. Or to quote him again, within inverted comma, politics are vulgar when not liberalized by history, and history fades into mere literature when it does sight of its relations to politics, inverted comma close. Burgess also held the view that if one separates the two, one becomes a cripple, if not the corpse, I repeat, if not the corpse, the other, a will of the wisp. Indeed, each discipline is incomplete without the other. The study of politics is incomplete without history. It is politics which makes history the real history. We cannot understand any political thinker without going into the times the philosopher lived. The political philosophy of either Hobbes or Locke, for example, stems from the Civil War England witnessed during the 17th century. Take away the great political events from the Indian history of the first half of the 20th century, and what remains in it? Without history, political science is incomplete. Without political science, history is hollow. To be more specific, one may say with Bryce and political science stands midway between history and politics. Between the past and the present, it draws its materials from one, within bracket, that is history, and applies them to the other, within bracket, politics. Indeed, history is a teacher, guide and philosopher for political science. But all history is of no use for politics, as all politics does not make history. In their scope, objectives and methodology, the two stand on different poles. History is more comprehensive than political science. It follows the narrative approach, while political science numerous approaches, scientific, normative, philosophical, and the like. History deals with facts, political science with ideals as well. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 3b, Political Science and Economics, page 2.50. Political science and economics exert a lot of influence on each other. Economics was political economy at one point of time. Kautilya called his work Arthashastra. Aristotle thought of economics as part of politics. It is different to find a political philosopher whose philosophy would lose either, whose philosophy would lose sight of economic dimension. Plato made the producing class as the material basis of the ideal state. Aristotle's best practical state included the middle class family, within bracket neither rich nor poor, responding to his rule of the mean. Marx, more than any other political philosopher, understood the importance of the material factor in the lives of people and societies, making it the base on which stood the whole superstructure. Liberalism is the political philosophy of the capitalist class, while socialism is the political philosophy of the proletariat. All political ideologies have their origin in economics. All political parties contest power on the strength of manifestos full of promises of an economic nature. Budgets play a significant role in the life of the nations. Political science, on the other hand, solves economic problems more than political. Poverty is an economic problem. Politics solves it. Globalization is primarily an economic issue handled by political science. All planning is a matter of economics. Politicians preside over it. As yet, the two disciplines are different. Ivor Brown rightly says that economics deal with things, political science with the people, economics with prices of commodities, political science with their utilities. Economics is becoming statistical, while political science remains normative, historical, philosophical, and scientific in the limited sense of the term. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 3c, Political Science and Philosophy. There is much that political science and philosophy share with each other. Philosophy, being the quest for knowledge, provides political science a goal that makes the latter normative. It is indeed speculative and imaginative, but it is philosophy that has provided political thought its two pillars. One, and probably an important pillar, that is idealism, and the other being realism. All those who regarded Plato as their guru rightly called him the father of political philosophy. The philosophical approach, with all its limitations, has dominated the classical political theory. The precepts of philosophy are used to solve the problems of political science. All political concepts, within bracket justice, liberty, equality, democracy, etc., have the philosophical touch in their meaning, for value-free research has no meaning in political science. It is only on philosophical grounds that we determine the nature and ends the state. I repeat, and ends of the state. Attempts to build an ideal type of politics have engaged the political philosophers from the days of ancient Greece, though the empiricists and the behavioralists of our times, under the spell of natural sciences, are aphilosophical. But political science, it must be remembered, is not all fantasy, it is practice as well. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 3D, Political Science and Sociology. Auguste Comte has been rightly described as the father of sociology. Sociology as the mother of all social sciences, and the general social science has been closely related to political science in ways more than one. The latter, as the offspring of sociology, is also a particular social science. Numerous theorists, within bracket, for example, Max Weber and Charles Marion, have recognized the role of sociology in the politics, and numerous American scholars, Easton, Helmont, Kaplan and Apter, have drawn a lot from the writings of Parsons and Martin in their analysis of political institutions. Indeed, sociology's contribution to political science can hardly be ignored. Giddings, within bracket, Principles of Sociology, has observed, within inverted comma, to teach the theory of state to men who have not learned the first principles of sociology is like teaching astronomy or thermodynamics to men who have not learned the Newtonian laws of motion, bracket closed, inverted comma closed. The whole American behavioral and post-behavioral politics relates itself with social sciences in general and with sociology in particular. Different as sociology and political science are in respect of their subject matter and approach, their close relationship has been accepted by all. Both the sociologists as well as the political sciences, repeat, both the sociologists as well as the political scientists, Lipset, within bracket political man, holds the view, within inverted comma, no sociologist, wrong. I repeat the entire paragraph. Different as sociology and political science are in respect of the subject matter and approach, their close relationship has been accepted by all, both the sociologists as well as the political scientists. Lipset, within bracket political men, holds the view, within inverted comma, no sociologist can conceive of a study of society that does not include the political system, and many political scientists have argued that it is impossible to study political processes as special cases of more general sociological and psychological relationship, bracket closed. Wrong, inverted comma closed. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences, 3E, Political Science and Psychology, page 2.16. Political science and psychology are also closely related to each other. Walter Bagot, within bracket Physics and Politics, has shown the political issues can dealt with psychological formulations. Graham Wallace, within bracket Human Nature in Politics, bracket close, says, within inverted comma, politics is only in a slight degree the product of conscious reason, inverted comma close. Rivers, within bracket Psychology and Politics, and Laswell, within bracket Psychopathology and Politics, bracket close, attempt to, within inverted comma, comprehend politics on psychological premises. Hobbes, within bracket Leviathan, bracket closed, wrote the first 11 chapters of his book on, within inverted comma, man, that is, on man's psychology. Baker, wrong, I repeat, Barker had said once, within inverted comma, in our fathers thought biologically, we think psychologically. I repeat, Barker had said once, within bracket, if our fathers thought biologically, we think psychologically, inverted comma closed. Indeed, it is difficult to ignore the psychological approach to politics. Politics, on the other, helps us understand the psychology of the people making either their state or their law. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trades, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 3F, Political Science and Ethics. The relationship of political science with ethics, or that of ethics with political science, is also reciprocal, each contributing its utility for the other. Indeed, what is ethically wrong cannot be politically right, and politics does strengthen the ethical values. Yet the two do not go very far, politics being more realistic than ethical and ethics being more idealistic than practical. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. 3G, Political Science is science as well as art. Political science is a science of society. It is a social science, science not in the sense of natural or physical sciences, but a science that attempts to understand political phenomena as a part of individual/group social life in a matter that is based on study and observation. Lovell rightly says that it is an within inverted comma observational inverted comma close and not an experimental inverted comma within inverted comma science. Its principles are not universally recognized, but sounds more politically recognized today than 100 years ago. Indeed, there is no exact cause-effect relationship in social sciences, political science including, but we cannot deny general causes leading to the same effect. The general causes of revolution are the same everywhere. Maybe the particular causes differ here and there. We do not have predictions in social sciences, within bracket, in political science as well, but all predictions are not correct, even in exact sciences. Meteorological predictions often are wrong. Political science is a science to the extent that we reach its conclusions though through discussions and debates, and we do not accept them as assumed ones. The positivists and empiricists and the behavioralists committed the folly of introducing too much scienticism in political science, and in process made it relevant. Indeed, political science is a social science. It is an art in the sense that the great masters of the discipline built ideal state. Plato did so. Page 2.17. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. Exercise. Consider the following statements. 1. Comparative approach draws generalizations from observations. 2. Great Britain is as democratic as is People's Republic of China. 3. Analogies and identities need to be distinguished. A, 1 and 2, B, 2 and 3, C, 2 only, D, 3 only. The correct answer is D, that is D, that is 3 only, that is 3. Analogies and identities need to be distinguished. 2. One of the following does not match. List 1 in the row, list 1 and list 2. Under list 1 there are 4 serial numbers A, B, C and D. Under list 1, under A, Aristotle, B, Bryce, C, Montesquieu, D, Plato. Under list 2, serial A, politics, B, modern democracies, C, the spirit of rights, and D, republic. The answer is C, that is under list 1, Montesquieu, under list 2, the spirit of rights. 3. Historical approach is A, descriptive, B, analytical, C, clinical, D, positive. Answer is A, descriptive. 4. One of the following is an advocate of historical approach. Answer A, Henry Maine, B. Robert Dahl, C. Coleman, and D. Lipset? The answer is A. Henry Maine. 5. Match list 1 with list 2 and select the correct code. In the row, list 1 and list 2. Under list 1 in the column, there are 4 cereals. Under serial A, Lowell. Under serial B, Beghot. Under serial C, Hallowell. Under serial D, Bell. Under list 1 in the column, serial 1, main currents in modern political thought. Under list 2, serial 2, the end of ideology. List 2, serial 3, essays on government. List 2, serial 4, the English Constitution. Code in the row A, B, C, D. In the column under A, serial A 4, serial B 3, serial C 2, serial D 1. Under B, in the column serial A 3, serial B 4, serial C 1, serial D 2. Under C, in the column serial A 2, serial B 1, serial C 3, serial D 3. Under D, in the column serial A 1, serial B 2, serial C 4, serial D 4. Answer is B. Under A 3, that is essays on government. Under B 4, that is the English Constitution. C, I repeat, under A, that is under Lowell, essays on government. Beghot, the English Constitution. Hallowell, main currents in modern political thought. Bell, the end of ideology. 6. The term historicism was made popular by A. Sabine, B. Foster, C. Oakeshott, and D. Popper. Answer is D. Popper. 7. Given below are two statements, one labeled as assertion A and other labeled as reason R. Assertion A, philosophical approach is essentially ethical. Reason R, it relates all knowledge to basic principles. In the context of the above two statements, which of the following is correct? A and R are true. R is the explanation of A. B, A and R are true. R is not the explanation of A. C, A is true. R is false. D, A is false. R is true. The answer is A. A and R are true. R is the explanation of A. 8. Assertion A. Normative approach theorizes values in politics. Reason R. It is normally non-partisan. A and R are true. R is the explanation of A. B. A and R are true. R is not the explanation of A. C. A is true. R is false. D. A is false. R is true. The correct answer is C. A is true. R is false. 9. Put the following empiricists in chronological order. 1. Hume. 2. Bacon. C. Berkeley. 4. Locke. A. 1, 2, 4 and 3. B. 2, 4, 3, 1. C. 3, 4, 2, 1. D. 2, 3, 4, 1. The answer is B. Bacon, within inverted comma, 1561 to 1626, inverted comma close. Locke, 1632 to 1704, bracket closed. Berkeley, within bracket 1685 to 1753, bracket closed. Hume, within bracket 1711 to 1776. 10. The following is not common between empiricism and behavioralism. A. Study of facts. B. Scientific analysis. C. Distrust for values. D. Macro study. Answer is D. Macro study. 11. The following is true about rational choice theory. A. Stress on materialistic factor. B. Individuals as key factors. C. Institutions as key to all knowledge. D. Olson and Marx are its advocates. Answer is B. Individuals are key actors. 12. One of the following is the characteristic feature of post-behavioralism. A. Action and values. B. Relevance and action. C. Ethics and values. D. Action and ethics. B. Relevance and action. 13. One of the following does not match. A. Foucault. Discursive formation. B. Latour. Actant network. C. Lohmann. Marxist theory. D. Bardian. Structuration. Answer is Lohmann, Marxist theory. 14. The decline of political theory. Debate argues on the following. A. Present rather than past. B. Remote rather than immediate. C. Value-laden rather than value-free. D. Subjectivity rather than objectivity. A. Present rather than past. 15. The debate on the decline of political theory was in vogue during A. 1950s, B. 1970s, C. 1990s, D. 2000. The answer is A. 1950s. 16. Ideology is described as A. A belief system, B. Civilization, C. Theocracy, D. None of the above. Answer is A. A belief system. 17. One of the following wrote The Political Man. A. Daniel Bell, B. Galbraith, C. Raymond Aron, D. None of the above. 17. D is the answer. Lipset wrote Political Man. 18. Aron wrote the following book. A. The Opium of the People, B. The Opium of the Capitalists, C. The Opium of the Intellectuals, D. The Opium of the Theocrats. The answer is C. The Opium of the Intellectuals. 19. One of the following matches. A. Macpherson, Fascist Theory, B. Titmuss, Welfare State, C. Mills, Power Elite, D. Marx, Capitalism. The answer is C. Mills, Power Elite. 20. Match list 1 with list 2. In the row, list 1 and list 2. Under list 1 in the column, capital A. Bush, B. Cameroon and C. Foucault. Under list 2 in the column, serial number 1 British, serial number 2 French, 3 American. Quote. In the row A, B and C. Under A in the column, under serial number A 1, serial number B 2, serial number C 3, serial number D 3. Under B in the column, serial number A 2, serial number B 3, serial number C 2, serial number D 1. Under C in the column, serial number A 3, serial number B 1, serial number C 1, serial number D 2. The answer is D. That is under A, American. Under B, that is Cameroon, British. Under C, Foucault, French. 21. One of the following is not the work of Fukuyama. A. Our Posthuman Future. 2. The Marxists. 3. The End of History and the Last Man. D. America as at the Crossroads. The answer is 21B, the Marxist. The Marxist was written by C. Wright Mills. 23. Assertion A. Martin uses the system theory of political analysis. Reason R. He is primarily a sociologist. A and R are true. R is the explanation of A. B. A and R are true. R is not the explanation of A. C. A is true. R is false. D. A is false. R is true. The answer is A. A and R are true. R is the explanation of A. 24. Skinner wrote the following book. A. Liberty on Liberalism. B. Liberty before Liberalism. C. Liberty after Liberalism. D. Liberty against Liberalism. The answer is B. That is Liberty before Liberalism. 25. Consider the following statements and choose the right code. 1. Hermeneutics relate to interpretation of the texts. 2. Behavioralism arises from old institutionalism. 3. Post-behavioralism is the negation of behavioralism. 4. Terms empiricism rejects facts over values. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3. B. 2, 3, 4. C. 1, 3, 4. D. 1, 2, 4. The correct is A, that is 1, 2, 3. That is, hermeneutics relate to interpretation of the text. 2. Behavioralism arises from the old institutionalism. C. Post-behavioralism is the negation of behavioralism. 26. Match list A1 and list 2. In the row, list 1 and list 2. Under list 1 in the column, capital A, Najik, capital B, Hayek, C, Ravis, D, Friedman. Under list 2 in the column, 1. Capitalism and freedom. 2. A theory of justice. 3. The road to serfdom. 4. Anarchy, state and utopia. Quote. In the row A, B, C and D. Under A in the column, serial number A 1, serial number B 4, serial number C 4, serial number D 3. Under B, serial number A 2, serial number B 3, serial number C 1, serial number D 2. Under C in the column, serial number A 3, serial number B 2, serial number C 2, serial number D 1. Under D in the column, serial number A 4, serial number B 1, serial number C 3, serial number D 4. The correct answer is B, that is under A, Najik, anarchy, state and utopia. Under B, Hayek, the road to serfdom. Under C, that is Rawls, a theory of justice. Under D, that is Friedman, capitalism and freedom. 27. One of the following is a communitarian. A. Weiser, B. Hayek, C. Friedman, D. Dworkin. The answer is A, that is Walzer. 28. Consider the following statements and choose the right code. 1. Feminism is opposed to patriarchy. 2. It insists on gender equality. C. Wollstonecraft wrote the book, The Sexual Contract. 4. Engels was an advocate of feminism. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3. B. 1, 3, 4. C. 2, 3, 4. D. 1, 2, 4. The correct answer is B, that is 1, 3, 4. That is, feminism is opposed to patriarchy. 3. Wollstonecraft wrote the book The Sexual Contract. Engels was an advocate of feminism. 3. 29. Sustainable development is A. Above environment, B. Against environment, C. In tune with environment, D. At the cost of environment. Answer is C, that is in tune with environment. 30. Match the following. In the row, list 1 and list 2. Under list 1 in the column, serial A, serial capital A, economics, serial capital B, philosophy, serial capital C, political science, serial capital D, history. Under list 2 in the column, serial 1 is the state, serial 2 knowledge, serial 3 events, serial 4 utility. Quote. In the row A, B, C and D. Under A in the column, A, under serial A 4, serial B 3, serial C 2, serial D 1. Under B in the column, serial A 2, serial B 1, serial C 3, serial D 4. Under C in the column, under serial A 1, under serial B 2, under serial C 4, under serial D 3. Under D in the column, serial number A 3, serial number B 4, serial number C 1, serial number D 2. The correct answer is A, that is 4, 2, 1, 3. That is under economics, utility. Under philosophy, under B, that is under philosophy, knowledge. C, that is political science, state. D, that is history, events. 31. Assertion A. Political science has always been caught in tension between the ought and the is. Reason R. Empirical methods are not yet adequately developed in political inquiry to take off all the possible variables. A and R are true. R is the explanation of A. B. A and R are true. R is not the explanation of A. C. A is true. R is false. D. A is false. R is true. The correct answer is A. A and R are true. R is the explanation of A. 32. Assertion A. According to Aristotle, political science is considered a master science. Reason R. It imparted knowledge to the rulers and provided principles of regulating public life. In the context of the above two statements, which of the following is correct? A. Both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. B. Both A and R are true but R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is true but R is false. D. A is false but R is true. The correct answer is B. Both A and R are true but R is not the correct explanation of A. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trades, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. Page 2.19. 33. Who among the following was an advocate of behavioralism and post-behavioralism? A. Charles Marion. B. George Catlin. C. Leo Strauss. D. David Easton. The correct answer is David Easton. 34. Post-behavioralism insists on the following: A. Systemization of research. B. Subjection of political phenomenon to rigorous inquiry. C. Politicization of intellectuals. D. Quantification and measurement of data. The correct answer is C, that is politicization of intellectuals. 35. It is better, within quote, it is better to be vague than irrelevant. This statement explains the following: A. Empiricism. B. Positivism. C. Behavioralism. D. Post-behavioralism. The answer is D, that is post-behavioralism. 36. Match list 1 and list 2. In the row, list 1 and list 2. Under list A, under list 1 in the column, serial number capital A, traditionalism. Serial number B, capital B, behavioralism. Serial number capital C, post-behavioralism. Serial number D, neo-behavioralism. Under list 2 in the column, serial number 1, relevance. Serial number 2, interpretative theoretical focus. 3, normative. 4, objectivity. Quote: in the row A, B, C and D. Under A, in the column, serial number A 1, serial number B 4, serial number C 3, serial number D 4. Under B in the column, serial number A 2, serial number B 3, serial number C 4, serial number D 3. Under C in the column, serial number A 3, serial number B 2, serial number C 1, serial number D 1. Under D in the column, serial number A 4, serial number B 1, serial number C 2, serial number D 2. The answer is C, that is under traditionalism, normative. Under behavioralism, objectivity. Post-behavioralism, relevance. Neo-behavioralism, interpretative theoretical focus. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences, Exercises. Page 2.20. 37. The scientific method does not emphasize: A. Empiricism, B. Values, C. Facts, T. Objectivity. The answer is B. Values. 38. Consider the following statement with regard to historical approach. 1. To understand a political phenomenon is to understand the time it began developing. 2. Political theory thrives in times of immense crucial situations. 3. Political theory, like history, has A. Facts, B. Causes, C. Values, D. Factual, causal, and evolutional. 4. Evidences provide a proper study of political phenomena only and always. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3, B. 1, 2, 4, C. 2, 3, 4, D. 1, 3, 4. The correct answer is A, that is 1, 2, 3. 1 is to understand a political phenomenon is to understand the time it began developing. 2. Political theory thrives in times of immense crucial situations. 3. Political theory, like history, has A. Facts, B. Causes, C. Values, D. Factual, causes, causal, and evolutional. 39. Match list 1 with list 2. In the row, list 1, under list 1, scholar, list 2, within bracket, approach. Under list 1 in the column, serial A, day, Tocqueville. Serial number capital B, Tugit. Serial number capital C, Baguette. Serial number capital D, Martin. Under list 2, within bracket, approach, in the column, serial number 1, institutional approach, 2, sociological approach, C, comparative approach, 4, legal approach. Code in the row A, B, C and D. Under A in the column, serial number A1, serial number B1, serial number C4, serial number D3. In the column under B, serial number A2, serial number B3, serial number C4, serial number D4. Under C in the column, serial number A4, serial number B2, serial number C2, serial number D1. Under D in the column, serial number A3, serial number B4, serial number C1, serial number D2. The correct answer is D. That is under A, that is D. Tocqueville, comparative approach. Under B, Dogit, legal approach. Under C, Baguette, institutional approach. Wrong, I repeat. Under A, that is D. Tocqueville, comparative approach. Under B, Dogit, legal approach. Under C, Baguette, institutional approach. Under D, Martin, sociological approach. Behavioralism was a tendency in political science that A. based political science on human nature, C. attempted to convert political science into a natural science, C. rejected the concept of power for the concept of process, D. replaced explanation for knobs. The correct answer is B. attempted to convert political science into a natural science. 41. Consider the following statements. Post-behavioralism. 1. Rejects behavioralism. 2. Modifies behavioralism. 3. Permits values in the study of politics. 4. Calls for active engagement with the world. Which of the statements is given above are correct? A. 1 and 3, B. 3 and 4, C. 2 and 3, D. 1, 2 and 3. The correct answer is B. 3 and 4. That is, permits values in the study of politics, calls for active engagement with the world. 2. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences, Exercises, page 2.21. 42. One of the following does not match. A. Dull, a preface to democratic theory. B. Deutsch, the process of government. C. Eastern, a system analysis of political life. B. After, the politics of monetization. The correct answer is Deutsch, the process of government. That is 42B. 43. Consider the following statements with regard to behavioralism. 1. Uniformities in the political behavior of human beings can well be expressed in generalizations. 2. Human behavior can possibly be empirically tested. 3. Theory consists of analysis, explanation, and prediction. 4. Dependence on social sciences helps political science preserve identity, integrity, and autonomy. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3, B. 2, 3, 4, C. 1, 3, 4, D. 1, 2, 4. The correct answer is A, that is 1, 2, 3. Uniformities in the political behavior of human beings can well be expressed in generalizations. 2. Human behavior can possibly be empirically tested. 3. Theory consists of analysis, explanation, and prediction. 44. Assertion A. The behavioralists lay emphasis on the adoption of correct techniques for acquiring, interpreting, and testing facts and data. Reason R. They believe that all evidence is based on observation. A is true, so is R as well. R is the correct explanation of A. A is true, so R is as well. R is the correct explanation of A. B. A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is true and R is false. D. A is false and R is true. The correct answer is B, that is A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. 45. Match list 1 with list 2. In the row, list 1 and list 2. Under list 1, scholar. Under list 2, book. List 1, scholar. Under list 1, scholar. In the column, serial A, David Truman. Serial B, Hinge Elihu. C, Arthur Bentley. Under serial D, Edward Sliss. Under list 2, book. In the column 1, the process of government. Under list 2, in the column serial 2, the governmental process. Under list 2, serial 3, political development in the new states. Under list 2 in the column, serial number 4, macro political analysis. Quote. In the row, A, B, C and D. Under A in the column, serial number 2, under serial number B 3, serial number C 1, serial number D 1. Under B in the column, serial number A 4, serial number B 1, serial number C 2, serial number D 1. Under C in the column, serial number A 1, serial number B 4, serial number C 4, serial number D 3. Under D in the column, serial number A 3, serial number B 2, serial number C 4, serial number D 4. The correct answer is A, 2413. That is under A, that is David Truman. The governmental process. Under B, under B, that is Hinge Elihu, macro political analysis. Under Arthur Bentley, the process of government. Under Edward Sliss, political development in the new states. Match list 1 with list 2. In the row, list 1, under list 1, within bracket discipline. Under list 2, within bracket theme. Under list 1 discipline, in the row, serial A, philosophy, serial B, sociology, serial C, economics, serial D, political science. Under list 2 theme, 1, stratification, 2, mind, C, 3, power, 4, trade. Quotes. In the row A, B, C and D. Under A, in the column under serial number A4, B2, C4, D2. Under serial number B in the column A3, B1, C1, D1. Under serial number C in the column A2, B4, C2, D4. Under serial number D in the column serial number A1, B3, C3, D1. The correct answer is B, that is 2, 1, 4, 3. That is under philosophy, mind. B, sociology, stratification. C, economics, trade. D, political science, power. 47. One of the following is not correct statement. A, history provided raw material for political science. B, economics is connected with prices. C, sociology is a particular social science, whereas political science is a general social science. 48. Consider the following statements. 1. History is past politics and politics is current history. 2. Economics deals with things and political science with norms and values. 3. If our fathers thought biologically, we think psychologically. 4. What is ethically wrong cannot be politically right. Quote in the row A, B and C. Under A in the column serial number A1, serial number B2, C2. Wrong. I repeat. Under serial number A, under A in the serial A1, B1, C2, D1. Under B in the column under serial number A2, B3, C3, D2. Under C in this under serial number A3, B4, C4, D4. Serial number A is the correct answer. Serial number A, that is under A, history is past politics and politics is current history. Under B, economics deals with things and political science with norms and values. Under C, if our fathers thought biologically, we think psychologically. 49. Assertion A. Politics is but ethics writ large. So says Ivor Brown. Reason R. Political theory is idle without ethical theory. A and R are true and R is the correct expression of A. B. A and R are true but R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is true and R is false. D. A is false and R is true. The answer is B, that is A and R are true but R is not the correct explanation of A. 50. Match list 1 with list 2. List in the row list 1, under list 1 scholar. List 2, under list 2 is theme. Under list 1 scholar, serial number A is Strauss, serial number B Parsons, serial number C Carr, serial number D Freud. List 2 theme. In the column serial number 1 philosophy, serial number 2 psychology, serial number 3 sociology, serial number 4 history. Quote in the row A, B, C and D. Under A in the column serial number A1, B4, C1, D3. Under B in the column serial A2, B3, C3, D1. Under serial number C, wrong, repeat. Under C, serial number A3, B2, C4, D2. Under D, serial number A4, B1, C2, D4. The correct answer is C, that is 1, 3, 4 and 2. Under A, Strauss, philosophy. Under B, Parsons, sociology. Under C, Carr, history. Under D, Freud, psychology. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences, Exercises. Page 2.22. 51. The thinker who based politics on psychology and psychology on physics and geometry was A. Montesquieu, B. Rousseau, C. Thomas Hobbes, D. Bentham. The answer is C. Thomas Hobbes. 52. The thinker who based politics on philosophy was A. Aristotle, B. Plato, C. Bentham, D. Marx. Answer is B. Plato. 53. The thinker who based politics on religion was A. Cicero, B. Saint Augustine, B. Machiavelli, D. Locke. The correct answer is B. Saint Augustine. 54. Consider the following statements with regard to the relationship between political science and history. A. History is narrative while facts are studied in chronological order. 2. Political science accepts facts of history as they are. 3. Politics is vulgar when not liberalized by history, and history fades into literature when it loses right of its relation to politics. 4. All history is not politics. All politics is not history. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3, B. 2, 3, 4, C. 1, 2, 4, D. 1, 3, 4. The correct answer is 1, 2, 3. That is 1. History is narrative while facts are studied in chronological order. 2. Political science accepts facts of history as they are. 3. Politics is vulgar when not liberalized by history, and history fades into literature when it loses sight of its relation to politics. 55. Assertion A. Political science is selective in relation to history. It selects facts that help it understand politics. Reason R. All history is irrelevant for political science. A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. B. A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is true and R is false. D. A is false and R is true. The correct answer is A. A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. 56. Assertion A. Political science deals with values. Reason R. Economics deals with prices. A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is true and R is false. D. A is false and R is true. The correct answer is B. That is A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. Chapter 2. Political Science. Approaches, debates and trends, relationship with other social sciences. Exercises. 57. Wrong. 2.223 page. 57. Match list 1 with list 2. In the row, list 1, under list 1, subject. In the row, list 2, under list 2, phenomenon. Under list 1, subject, serial number A, psychology, B, economics, C, political science, D, history. Under list 2, phenomenon, 1, facts. Under serial number 1, facts. Under serial number 2, power. 3, market. 4, instincts. Quote. In the row, A, B, C and D. Under A in the column, serial number A4, B4, C1, D1. Under B in the column, A2, B3, C2, D1. Under C in the column, A1, B2, C3, D4. Under D in the column, A3, B1, C4, D3. The correct answer is B, that is 4, 3, 2, 1. That is under A, that is psychology. Instincts. Economics. 3, market. Political science. 2, power. History. 1, facts. 58. One of the following does not match. Under serial number A, Auguste Comte, sociology. Serial number B, Alan Smith, polity. C. Bentham, utility. D. Marx, materialism. The correct answer is B. Alan Smith, polity. 59. Match list 1 with list 2. In the row list 1, under list 1 author. In the row list 2, under list 2 work. Under list 1 in the column A, capital A, Willoughby, capital B, Mill, capital C, Lipson, capital D, Lassalle. Under list 2, work in the column 1, the great issues of politics, 2, psychopathology and politics, 3, the nature of the state, 4, principles of political economy. Quote, in the row A, B, C and D, under A in the column serial number A1, B1, C4, D3. Serial under B, serial number A2, B2, C3, D4. Under C, serial number A3, B4, C2, D1. Under D, in the serial number A4, B3, C1, D2. The correct answer is D. That is 3, 4, 1 and 2. That is under A, Willoughby, the nature of the state. B, Mill, 4, that is principles of political economy. Lipson, C, the great issues of politics. Laswell, D, psychopathology and politics. 60. One of the following statements is not correct. A. History without political events is literature. B. Political science without ethics is vulgar. C. Ethics without economics is meaningless. D. Economics without markets is unproductive. The correct answer is C. Ethics without economics is meaningless. 61. The following demonstrated the relationship between nature and politics. Utilitarian, A. Utilitarian, B. Physiocrats, C. Idealists, D. Anarchists. The correct answer is physiocrats. 62. Consider the following statements. 1. Aristotle has remarked that politics is an inexact science. 2. Maitland doubts if there is a science of politics. 3. Natural sciences have unvarying laws. 4. Lowell says that politics is not an experimental science. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3. B. 2, 3, 4. C. 1, 3, 4. D. 1, 2, 4. The correct answer is 2, 3, 4. That is, Maitland doubts if there is a science of politics. Natural sciences have unvarying laws. Lowell says that politics is not an experimental science. 63. One of the following does not match. 1. Maitland, politics is a prime science. B. Lowell, politics is an observational science. C. Buckley, politics is the backward of all arts. C. Bryce, politics and meteorology are both sciences. Answer is A. Maitland, politics is a prime science. 64. One of the following is incorrect. A. Political science is a science but not an art. B. Political science is a science as well as an art. C. Political science is a science which is a social science. D. Political science is the art, science and philosophy of what is political. Answer is A. Political science is a science but not an art. 65. Assertion A. Political science is an inexact science. Reason R. No theory of state can be considered as an ultimate truth. A. A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. B. A and R are true but R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is true and R is false. D. A is false and R is true. The correct answer is B. A and R are true but R is not the correct explanation of A. The two statements are true but they are not related to each other. 66. Assertion A. Prediction in physics is certain usually. Reason R. Prediction in political science is only a matter of chance. A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. B. A and R are true but R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is true and R is false. D. A is false and R is true. The correct explanation is B. Correct answer is B, that is A and R are true but R is not the correct explanation of A. Though the two statements are true, they do not constitute each other's explanation. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. Exercises. 67. No, wrong. Page 2.24. Question 67. Assertion A. There are universally recognized principles in political science which are acceptable to all. Reason R. Owing to the variability of human behavior, it is difficult to draw precise conclusions. A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. B. A and R are true but R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is true and R is false. D. A is false and R is true. The correct answer is C, that is A is true and R is false. 68. Consider the following statements and choose the right answer. 1. August Comte is universally recognized as the father of sociology. 2. Adam Smith is known as the father of classical capitalism. 3. Aristotle is described as the father of political science. 4. Eston is a behavioralist but not a post-behavioralist. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1, 3, 4. B. 1, 2, 4. C. 2, 3, 4. D. 1, 2, 3. That is 1. Auguste Comte is universally recognized as the father of sociology. Adam Smith is known as the father of classical capitalism. 3. Aristotle is described as the father of political science. 69. Assertion A. Every philosopher has a preacher within him /her. Reason R. Philosophy refers to some sort of preaching a doctrine. A and R are true, R is correct explanation of A. B. A and R are true, but R is not a correct explanation of A. C. A is true, R is false. D. A is false, R is true. The correct answer is A and R are true, R is a correct explanation of A. 70. One of the following is a philosopher of the classical political theory. A. Laswell. B. Duverger. C. Tross. And D. Dahl. C. Tross. 71. One of the following teams belong to libertarians. A. Hayek and Sandel. B. Sandel and Weiser. C. Walzer and Nozick. D. Nozick and Friedman. The answer is D. Nozick and Friedman. 72. One of the following teams belong to the communitarians. A. McIntyre and Rawls. B. Rawls and Dworkin. C. Dworkin and Taylor. D. Taylor and Sandel. The answer is D, that is Taylor and Sandel. 73. One of the following constitute a post-modern team. A. Heger and Lyotard. B. Lyotard and Eston. C. Eston and Berlin. D. Berlin and Plumage. The answer is A, that is Heger and Lyotard. 74. The following is a feminist team. A. Millet and Ardent. B. Arendt and Firestone. C. Firestone and Ilstein. D. Ilstein and Beatrice. The correct answer is Firestone and Ilstein. 75. The following regard political science as the most backward of all arts. A. Maitland. D. Buckle. C. Catlin. And D. Walsh. The correct answer is B, that is Buckle. Page 2.25. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. In this chapter, philosophers, personalities and scholars. Almont Gabriel Abraham, within bracket 1911 to 2002. Wrong, I repeat again. In this chapter, philosophers, personalities and scholars. Almont Gabriel Abraham, within bracket 1911 to 2002, an American political scientist's work, The Civil Culture with S. Verba. Althusser Louis, within bracket 1918 to 1990, a French Marxist work for Marx. Bacon Francis, within bracket 1561 to 1626, bracket closed, an English philosopher, statesman, essayist, and empiricist, known for his Baconian method, works, essays, colors of good and evil, mediations, sacre. His famous aphorism was, within inverted comma, knowledge is power. Berkeley George, within bracket 1685 to 1753, an Irish philosopher known for his theory of immaterialism, works a treatise concerning the principles of human knowledge, The Analyst. Blair Tony, within bracket born 1953, the British Prime Minister, within bracket assumed office in 1997 and resigned in 2007. Bourdieu Pierre, within bracket 1930 to 2002, a French sociologist and a genetic structuralist, work Distinction, a social critique of the judgment of taste. Burke Edmund, within bracket 1729-1797, an Anglo-Irish statesman, author, orator, theorist, a conservative philosopher, works Thoughts on the Cause of Present Discontents, Reflections on the Revolution in France. Cameron David, born 1966, a leader of Conservative Party in England, leader of the opposition in the House of Commons, 2006. Dworkin Roland, born 1931, an American legal philosopher, a libertarian, works Taking Rights Seriously, Freedom's Law, Is Democracy Possible Here? Principles for a New Political Debate. Foucault Michael, within bracket 1926 to 1984, a French philosopher and post-Marxist, works Madness and Civilization, The Birth of the Clinic, The Order of Things, The Archaeology of Knowledge, Discipline and Punish, The History of Sexuality. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. In this chapter, Philosophers, Personalities and Scholars, page 2.26. Friedman Milton, within bracket 1912 to 2006, an American economist, also libertarian, work Capitalism and Freedom. Gramsci Antonio, within bracket 1891 and I repeat, within bracket 1891 to 1933, an Italian Marxist, a political theorist known for his concept of hegemony, work Prison Notebooks. Garch Clifford, within bracket 1926 to 2006, an American anthropologist, works The Interpretation of Cultures, After the Fact, 2 Countries, 4 Decades, 1 Anthropologist. Fukuyama Francis, born 1952, an American philosopher, political economist, and an advocate at the end of history thesis. Politically, a neoconservative works, The End of History and the Last Man, within bracket an endist philosopher. For political and economic liberalism provides the end point of history. Bracket close. Trust, the social virtue and the creation of prosperity, our post-human future, consequences of the biotechnology revolution. Within bracket, in this book, while qualifying his position, he says that history is not an end because science and technology are not an end. Bracket closed. The great disruption, human nature and the reconstruction of social order, state building, governance and the world order in the 21st century, America at the crossroads, democracy, power and the new conservative legacy after the new cons where the right went wrong. Habermas Jürgen, born 1929, a German philosopher and socialist of the critical theory, also a new Marxist, major works, Theory and Practice, on the logic of the social sciences, towards a rational society, legitimation crisis, the theory of communicative action, the philosophical discourse of modernity, the new conservatism between facts and norms, the inclusion of the other, the future of human nature, the divided West. Hayek, F.A., within bracket 1899 to 1992, an Austria-born British economist and political philosopher known for his defense of liberal democracy and free market capitalism, shared the 1974 Nobel Prize in Economics with Gunnar Myrdal works The Road to Serfdom, the Use of Knowledge in Society, the Constitution of Liberty. Hegel, within bracket 1770 to 1831, a German philosopher, founder of Hegelianism works, Phenomenology of Mind, Science of Logic, Encyclopedia of Philosophical Science, Elements of the Philosophy of Right, Lectures on Philosophy of History, Lectures on Philosophy of Religion. Hobbes Thomas, within bracket 1588 to 1679, an English philosopher known for his 1651 book Leviathan. His other works include Human Nature, The Elements of Law, De Corpora Politico. Hume David, within bracket 1711 to 1776, a Scottish philosopher, economist and a historian, an important figure of the Scottish Enlightenment, works a treatise of human nature, essays moral and political, and inquiry concerning human understandings. Key V.O., within bracket 1908 to 1963, an American political scientist also known for his empirical study of elections and voting behavior, works Politics, Parties and Pressure Groups, Public Opinion and American Democracy, The Responsible Electorate, Rationality in Presidential Voting, 1936 to 60. Later, Bruno, born 1947, a French socialist known for his works We Have Never Been Modern, Laboratory Life, Science in Action. Locke John, within bracket 1632 to 1704, an English philosopher and empiricist, a social contract theorist on who justified wrong. I repeat, one who justified the English Revolution of 1688, a forerunner of liberalism, works two treatises of government, an essay concerning human understanding. Luhmann Nicholas, within bracket 1927 to 1998, a German sociologist and a social system theorist, works Social System, Art as a Social System. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. In this chapter, philosophers, personalities and scholars. page 2.27. Machiavelli, Niccolo, 1469 to 1927, a political realist, a musician, a poet of the Italian Renaissance, known for his works The Prince, the Discourses of Livy. His other works were The Art of War, The History of Florence. MacIntyre Alasdair, born 1929, a communitarian philosopher, works Marxism, an interpretation after virtue whose justice, which rationality, the tasks of philosophy, ethics and politics. Macpherson, C.V., within bracket 1911 to 1987, a Canadian political scientist, works The Political Theory of Possessive Individualism, The Real World of Democracy, Democratic Theory, The Life and Times of Liberal Democracy, Dilemmas of Liberalism and Socialism. Main Henry, within bracket 1822 to 1888, an English comparative jurist, work Ancient Law. Mannheim Karl, within bracket 1893 to 1947, a Jewish-Hungarian-born German socialist, works Structures of Thinking, Ideology and Utopia, Sociology as Political Education, Man and Society in an Age of Reconstruction. Montesquieu, within bracket 1689 to 1755, a French political thinker, famous for his theory of separation of power, work The Spirit of the Laws. Sandel Michael, born, Sandel Michael, born 1943, a communitarian, now a Republican philosopher, works Liberalism and the Limits of Justice, Public Philosophy. Shields Edward, within bracket 1911 to 1995, an American philosopher, works Towards a General Theory of Action, The Intellectual Between Tradition and Modernity, The Indian Situation, Tradition on the Constitution of Society, The Academic Ethos. Simon Hubbard, within bracket 1916 to 2001, an American political scientist known for coining terms such as bounded rationality and satisfying a Nobel Prize awareness of economists. I repeat, a Nobel Prize awardee in economics, works Administrative Behavior. Taylor Charles, born 1931, a Canadian philosopher, a communitarian, works Sources of the Self, Philosophical Papers, The Politics of Recognition. Titmuss Richard, within bracket 1907 to 1973, a British social researcher, works Commitment to Welfare, Essays on Welfare State, Problems of Social Policy, Income, Distribution and Social Change. Tocqueville de Alexis, within bracket 1805 to 59, a French political thinker and a historian, works Democracy in America, The Old Regime and the Revolution. Tracy de Descartes, within bracket 1754 to 1836, a French philosopher who coined the term ideology, works Elements d'Idéologie. Walter Michael, born 1935, a communitarian political theorist, major work Spheres of Justice. Wollstonecraft Mary, 1759 to 1797, writer, born in England, works include Thoughts of the Education of Daughters, within bracket 1787, The Female Reader, within bracket 1789, Revolution, 1794, a Vindication of the Rights of Women, within bracket 1792, which challenged Rousseau's ideas of female inferiority, is a classic of liberal feminism. Chapter 2, Political Science Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. In this chapter, Key Terms and Concepts, 2.28 page. Chicago School, I repeat, Chicago schools, all described as the ecological schools, refers to works emerging during 1920s and 1930s, specializing in urban sociology and later criminology. It, as positivists, applies scientific techniques to the collection and deductive analysis of data to explain different types of social and individual phenomena. Its members included Charles Merriam, Martin Buber, and Burgess. Federalism, originating from Latin foedus, meaning pact, agreement, etc., in a term denoting an organizational principle of political science. It emphasizes vertical power sharing between the federal and the provincial governments, but at the same time seeking unity, usually based on the idea of unity in diversity. Frankfurt School refers to a group of neo-Marxist social theorists, also some of them associated with critical theory. Functionalism is a doctrine which advocates that the social institutions and practices can be understood in terms of the functions they perform in a system. In the functionalist view, the whole is more than merely a collection of its parts, is criticized for its reductionism and is usually described as conservative. Hermeneutics is a method of explaining a work in terms of its context. Heidegger, within bracket 1889 to 1976, adopted it for social theory. In order to understand a text, one must understand the context behind the text. Human nature refers to the essential characteristics of human beings, highlighting what is natural to human life. Numerous philosophers, Hobbes in particular, explains political phenomena based on human nature. Idealism refers in political science to a doctrine that advocates ideal polity, which is committed to certain ideals and principles. It regards the state as an ethical institution. Its advocates included Plato, Kant, Hegel, usually criticized for its utopianism and subjectivity. Liberalization refers to certain measures within bracket economic and political, seeking to reduce and minimize state control. Party system refers to a system of political parties which exist in a political system. Its types usually stated are single party system within bracket in authoritarian political system bracket closed, bi-party within bracket in Britain, the USA bracket closed, multiple within bracket France and Switzerland bracket closed. India refers to a party system which was once a one-party dominated system within bracket before 1967 and now one with a couple of national political parties supported by state parties. Patriarchy refers to a doctrine associated with the male-dominated rule, a term used by feminists to oppose the rule of the male sex and patriarchal practices. Vienna Circle refers to a group of philosophers gathered around Schlick, spellings Schlick. Its beliefs were 1. Experience is the only experience is the only source of knowledge. 2. Logical analysis is a preferred method of solving philosophical problems. Its members included Bargman, Carnap, Figel, Kraft, Menger, Weismann. Chapter 2, Political Science, Approaches, Debates and Trends, Relationship with Other Social Sciences. In this chapter, Authors and Books, page 2.29. In the row, Author, in the middle, Book, Theme. Bagot Walter, The English Constitution, Unseen Political Process Work Behind the Constitution. Bentley Arthur, The Process of Government, Group as the True Level of Reality and process as the only valid approach to understanding the reality. Bartland 5, General System, Volume 1, General System Theory. Brecht Ireland, Political Theory, Theoretical Concepts Discussed. Bryce James, American Commonwealth, Modern Democracies, Volume 1 and 2, Description of Facts as They Are. Kathleen George, The Science and Method of Politics, a study of the principles of politics. Power relation constitute the core concern of politics. Interdisciplinary approach. Dahl Robert, The Empirical Political Theory. Within inverted comma, the behavioral approach in political science, inverted comma close, in Gould and Thursby, Contemporary Political Thought, the study of politics through empirical methods. Germino Dante, Beyond Ideology, the revival of political theory. Godin B, Using Political Ideas, Power as the Center of any Thinking of Politics. Hallowell John H, Main Currents in Modern Political Thought, Recent Works on Political Philosophy. Heinemann C.S., The Study of Politics, about the widening of the scope of political science. Lever Francis, Civil Liberty and Self-Government, Philosophic Juristic Perspectives of Anglo-American Institutions. Lipset S.M., Politics and Social Sciences, End of Ideology, The Liberal View. Lowell A. Lawrence, Essays on Government, Emphasis on the functions of government rather on its institutions. Medium Charles, New Aspects of Politics, The Present State of the Study of Politics, Emphasis on Psychology and Science in Understanding Politics. Martin Robert K., Social Theory and Social Structure, Use of the Systems Theory for Political Analysis. Parsons Talcott, The Structure of Social Action, Sociologist, Social Theory of Action. Pocock G.A., within inverted comma, The History of Political Thought, a Methodological Inquiry, inverted comma close. The Machiavellian Moment, Review, within inverted comma, Review of Political Theory, Tradition and Interpretation, inverted comma close. Contextualism, Popper Karl, The Poverty of Historian, The Open Society and Its Enemies, Historicism Criticized. Skinner G., within inverted comma, Meaning and Understanding in the History of Ideas, inverted comma close, in History and Society, The Foundations of Modern Political Thought, Liberty Before Liberalism, Contextualism. Strauss Leo, The Political Philosophy of Hobbes, Thoughts of Machiavelli on Tyranny, The City and Men, Liberalism, Ancient and Modern, What is Political Philosophy? Wallace Graham, Human Nature in Politics, Interpretation of Political Phenomena in Terms of Physiological Forces. Weldon T.D., Vocabulary of Politics, The Bible of Linguistic Philosopher. Weber Marx, within inverted comma, Politics as a Vocation, inverted comma close, The Theory of Social and Economic Organization, The Methodology of Social Sciences. Social analysis to be kept ethically neutral and value-free. Olin Sheldon, Politics and Vision, Concepts Discussed.